Hi guys, Richard Parker here again, property developer. So today I'm going to be talking about HMO Daddy tour days. HMO Daddy is owned by Jim Haliburton. It's been dubbed the HMO Daddy for quite a number of years, and Jim was probably one of the early entrants into turning properties into homes of multiple occupational HMOs. So Jim's been doing that for quite a few years now. When we went to the tour day, which is what I'm going to talk about today, very good day again, I would say. Very useful, very good education. Jim's tenant base, I would say, is not at the higher end of professionals. A reputation as taking on benefit tenants. Again, nothing wrong with that if that works for your model. But since the change in the law where the tenants receive the money from the council rather than directly to the landlord, he's very much gone away from using council tenants now. I think at one point he said it was about 35% of his tenant profile was about benefit tenants. Now that's less than 10% because of those changes, and also he's moving much more towards commercial to resi conversions, which he's now doing a lot of. So yeah, he's really changed his strategy. In terms of the day, we walked to some of the properties because many of the properties that he has in his portfolio are literally within walking distance of his office. And that again comes back to his strategy that he doesn't really be doing anything that's too far away. Later in the day we did drive to some properties, particularly a really big commercial to resi conversion that he's in the process of doing, and that was really interesting to see how he's doing that. So if we just talk about some of the things that we did on the day, the first part of the day we got there about 9 o'clock, coffee. I went in the week, so there wasn't many people there, which for me was really good because it allowed me to ask lots and lots of questions. And first part of the day was going through how his financial models operate, the type of tenants he looks at, and that kind of thing. In the morning, Jim did give us a little pitch for his HMO Daddy training program, and that you could sign up for his mentorship scheme. Bit disappointed about that was so early in the day maybe, but you know, that's part of his model. Is he sells quite a lot of training courses. So after that we then went out to see some properties, literally walking along the street, so it was quite easy. Some we could go in, some we couldn't. And it was quite clear when you went into these properties that yeah, they weren't at the top end of the tenant market, but very clean, nothing wrong with them at all. And at the end of the day, he's providing a service to those kind of tenants that that he's got in his properties. Some really interesting things that I saw on the day were, for example, one thing that he does with his heating, and this was really interesting. His daughter made this comment to him that, Dad, I can always tell where your tenants are because they're the ones with the windows open in winter, because everyone had the heating on, they weren't paying for it, it was all part of the cost of renting the property. So they just leave the heating on all the time. So what Jim has started to do, and it's worked really effectively for him, is he now has the heating on in a building for set periods, and the tenants are not able to change that. And then what he does, he has a very small separate card electric meter in connected up for each room, and he has a small wall heater, electric again, that's fitted in the room. So what he does is he provides a set amount of heat for a tenant for the building, and obviously that varies depending on the temperature outside and the time of year. And then if the tenant wants any more heat in the room, then he has to put some credit on his card, and he has to put the wall heater on. So for instance, let's just say the heating is on till 8 o'clock at night. If the tenant wants it on, the room to be warmed for longer than that, then he'd have to put his card into the meter and he'd have to run the wall heater. And ever since then, Jim said his electricity costs, or his heating costs rather, have literally halved overnight. He only buys property where he can have en-suites in every room. So he'll go in and look at a property. If he can't reconfigure it so that he can have en-suites in every room, he generally won't buy that property. It's something I'm certainly seeing changing in the market with my HMOs, where there's definitely a demand for en-suites and an expectation now of en-suites. I'll be interested in any of the other landlords out there that are seeing that. But certainly in the properties that I'm seeing in my student properties, because of lots of these purpose-built accommodation being going up now for students, there's a real raising of expectations that a room will have en-suite facilities. So on the day, we got a pack like we do on many of the tours, and you know, it gives you breakdowns of the costs and floor plans that of what they're operating to, and tells you the calculations of how he operates. For Jim, he has this rule that he says that you need at least a minimum of 5 rooms in a HMO to make it justified. The first 4 really are all your costs and voids and things like that, and it's really your 5th room is your profit. So providing you can do 5 rooms or above, you're going to be into a profitable situation with your HMO. And obviously if you have 6 or 7 rooms, then the costs, the utility costs are not going to go up equally the more rooms you have. So the more rooms you have, those costs will kind of flatten out to a certain extent, and you'll be making more profit all the time. Anyway, I think it's still worthwhile going on these HMO tours. If that's your market, or commercials and residential, very, very useful. 2 I've been on so far. I've got a lot from both of them, and I think you would too. So I would definitely recommend you go along and have a look at it. That's all this week, guys, and I'll be talking next week probably about my favourite podcasts and the ones that you should be listening to if you're interested in property. So I'll speak to you next week. Thanks very much, guys.